Got it.
Okay, well, hopefully we're being live streamed to
Twitter. Twitter is on.
Twitter's on, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Brent is coming. Yay! So I won't have to be.
I don't see YouTube. I don't see Facebook. Here's Facebook is up.
Yeah,
All right, Facebook.
I don't
is
see
up.
LinkedIn. Do we?
LinkedIn.
Every time I write "We Are Live," it gets re-edited as "We Archive."
Hmm.
Or we
Damn spell
archived.
check.
Here's Brent.
Damn
All right.
spell check. Oh yeah, we archive.
What happened? There he is. All right.
Brent Chulak.
Hey, it's Frank.
Brent Chulak.
Good to see you.
Okay, Tina.
Steve and I were lucky enough to see Brent live and in person a couple days ago.
Oh my God.
I
And
know.
we're all still alive too.
Yeah.
But not in person.
Speak for yourself.
He's not sure he's alive. Okay. All right, places, everybody. All right, and I'm gonna pin you there. And all right. This is the Gillmor Gang live version on Friday. We're gonna go mute is off. Yes, mute is off. And we're gonna go in 3, 2, 1, and
Boy, that was the best one yet.
oh.
Hi, Steve Gillmor here. This is the Gillmor Gang. Welcome to a late Thursday, so late that in fact it's Friday, edition of the Gillmor Gang. As I warned last week, this will be an abbreviated version.
Abbreviated in what way?
Okay, it's been great. Really good show, guys. See you.
Hey, oh, who is that? Oh, that's that guy from New York, who is now in London. Welcome, Frank Radis.
Hey, it's great to be back. I was gone for 2 whole shows, which makes me feel like a loser. I'm sorry I missed out but nothing happened last week anyway. So, there's that.
Or the week before that. You know.
Or the week before that. They were totally nothing happening at all.
Especially in London.
Nothing happened in London. Absolutely nothing. It was quiet. It was nothing.
There are long lines for quiet.
It's funny. They work along quiet lines. There was a lot of discussion about how reverent it felt. Yet people were, and meeting and greeting and seeming to be having a I don't want to say a festive time, but it was kind of festive. I mean, look, who in the world puts that many people through gigantic Disneyland lines without having more fights? I don't know. The Brits, right? Keith, we're so much more civilized.
Oh, stupid.
Okay, and the guy that said stupid is Keith Tier. Welcome, Keith.
Thank you for having me. Wonderful to be here at 9 a.m. on a Friday morning.
It's a little early for us.
Yeah. But Steve looks washed and showered. Not shaved, of course.
Oh, this is shaved. I shaved from the inside out.
And
I went beardless for this show. This is the first time I've been beardless in 30 years.
looking good.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It's taken years off your life. Wait a minute.
David Hogg also shaved. He put that up on Twitter this morning.
I didn't know that he's old enough to actually have hair on his face.
He's been bearded for the last couple of years.
Has he? All right.
Okay, so I'm just going to let this happen the way it's happening. The guy that we just heard from the great Northwest of here, is Michael Markman. Welcome.
Hello. I think I'm just north of you, but northwest of some people, west of others.
Oh, me for sure.
I think it goes like that, and I think you're up there.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Go check it out.
Because we're pretty wet. We're
So-
pretty west, Chris.
Give me a little bit of lower third there.
Oh, sure. Well, here we are in the Great Northwest. By the calendar, the rainy season is about to start, but it hasn't started yet.
Yipes.
And how can you tell when when the clouds clear and you see the mountain jumping out?
Well, the clouds come and go all summer long, but we've had a pretty dry summer, and the mountain has been out quite a bit this summer. It's not out today though. It's in tight.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you say Gesundheit? That sounded like you said Gesundheit.
I did
I
say
hope
good.
that's what he said.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. From the Atlanta, Georgia area
Barely.
is Brent Leary. Welcome, Brent.
I'm still on West Coast time or whatever you guys call it.
So what were you doing out in California?
Just hanging out, getting some dinner at Mel's.
Mel's buying food at Ralph's.
Yeah, I was hoping that Flo would have served us, but the guy who did, he did a nice job too. So Dennis knows all about Mel's, by the way.
That's right. That's right. Paul and I go to Mel's for breakfast once every Dreamforce.
Who's that talking? Dennis?
That would be me. Yeah.
Oh,
So that's
welcome, Dennis Pombrian from the
It's
Framework
working
of
out.
Massachusetts.
This is
That's right.
working out for you, Steve.
It just occurred to me that Michael and I are the bookends of US Route 90, which is the longest highway in the world.
Indeed.
So is this intro. It's been pretty.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. That means it's, did we say hello to Keith yet?
We did.
Okay, excellent.
So long ago.
That leaves it to Brent Leary. So what do you want to talk about, Brent?
Really? Me?
Well, you made that comment.
You know what? One thing I do want to talk about, because I posted it in the app. And what link is that, Keith?
T.me/Gillmor Gang.
See, when Frank comes back, we all we feel good. We're connected. We're just riffing off each other.
It's good. It's good. I like it. It's a good mood. It's a good vibe.
I like being the
Happening.
URL guy. I mean, who wouldn't want to be the URL guy?
We all got to play our parts, Keith. Just remember that.
Okay, and yours is going to be played now by answering my question.
All right. Well, I did post in the app the ratings for Thursday night. Amazon's ratings for Thursday night football actually not only met expectations, but they went beyond them. I think they got 13 million streaming viewers to the first one or two on average. So I think they were looking for 12. They got 13, and apparently there's some serious financial impact from already just from the 2 weeks of streaming Thursday night football to Amazon's bottom line. So
I have a question about that. You may be able to answer this, Brent, because I was in a foreign country during all of this happening. But part of the story, as I read it, was that a lot of local stations were using Amazon's feed on their channels, which meant that there was a triple revenue stream. So Amazon streams, a local TV station takes it, puts it on the air and streams it, and all of them are monetizing it. And I think, this is the question, those numbers from the local stations were added into the cumulative rating, which helped them figure out that they had 14 million people interacting with it. Is that true? Or Michael, do you know? Is that
I don't know.
was it just Amazon?
I'm not
There
sure.
you go. So
I
there's
think it
one to
was
find
all the
out.
people
If
who
it
fell
was
asleep.
if it was
I think it was all the people that fell asleep from the Hobbit show.
Well, but that goes to
I don't think it was just Amazon, but it doesn't matter.
that goes to show you how important live sports actually is to this whole equation.
Yeah.
You don't hear anybody paying in Thursday Night Football, although, you know, some of the announcing, well, they got Al Michaels and the other guy from ESPN. But anyway, they have multiple streams, so you can watch the traditional broadcast.
Yeah.
And then they also have this one, it's like enhanced stats or something.
Yeah.
I do have an answer, by the way.
That's the secret sauce. What's the answer, Michael?
The answer is on Amazon Prime, 11.8 million and 1.2 million on local TV markets.
Okay.
That's a pretty good number. I mean, that's
But you know that that was only two cities, the LA
Yeah.
and Kansas City.
Wow.
and there were many more than that, I believe.
So anyway, I found that's interesting to see how appointment viewing live sports. That's why Apple is making such a big deal with this MLB thing. I mean, everybody is trying to find a home run. I was trying not to go that route, but
I was waiting for the 61.
yeah, I know you're still waiting. It was close, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, but who won the game? Thank you.
Well, we'll ask Dennis.
Oh, I know who won the game. I was watching.
Who here has
The
actually
Yankees
seen
won the game.
Roger Maris?
You've got bandwidth problems, Frank. Frank, can you turn off your BitTorrent stream?
Why? I know.
I think it's just he's
I
been in
turned
England
off
so
something.
long that he's
Turned into a
turning
transformer.
he's turning into a
I-
Cyberman. Do you know what a Cyberman is, Brent?
Yeah, I'm a Doctor Who guy. Come on.
There you go. He's even
Movie.
got the look. Doesn't he look like one?
Actually,
Yes.
you're right with the headphones.
He's been upgraded.
I would take them off, but my wife is in the other room with a bunch of relatives from America, so I wouldn't be able to hear.
Relatives from America.
Okay,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sounds like we've fixed all the technical problems. Now let's get to the content.
Well, that was content. We had the
I think
we
you're
had the
right,
football
Brent.
ratings.
Yeah, it's more about the fact that they're being offered on so many platforms, and that there's so much ingenuity involved in the interactivity of it, and the enhanced imagery of it, and the fact that that it's originating as a stream, and in some cases ending up as a broadcast. It seems like the idea of streaming has opened itself up and is changing right before our very eyes. One of those things happens to be, if you can't continue to make content that would be bingeable, which means you have to create so much of it that the monster is constantly being fed, you have to come up with another way of doing it. And live sports is one of those ways. And also appointment viewing, like Apple does, and Disney is now doing appointment viewing. It seems like it's coming back to that. And then, of course, add the layer of advertisers support on it. Netflix is about to do it. You've got Freevee. Advertisers supported non-bingeable appointment viewing and live sports. These are all different things in the last few months.
By comparison, just to show you how the game has flipped. So there were 13 million people watching the stream on Amazon. A CBS network top show that ran against it was Young Sheldon. They had 3.5 million viewers.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wasn't
My
that
Things
only
show,
question is, why would 3.5 million people want to watch Young Sheldon?
You'll have to ask them. I don't know any of them.
like a #1 show a couple of years ago or something?
Yeah, it was huge. So even at the tail end of it, to see that many people still watching it is actually pretty astounding.
So what do you think about the politics, Frank?
The politics of streaming, or the politics of what's going on?
We're done with the streaming thing.
With Ron DeSantis,
Just
Ron
taking over
DeSantis sending people to up there, and we're into Dennis Pombriant land.
How about the Mar-a-Lago thing?
Oh, I think that story is incredible. I think that he could just think that something was declassified. Boom, it's declassified.
What he
I just
doesn't
think-
know, though, what he does not know is that Biden was able to think them back to being classified instantly.
what I really like is that all the Republican judges that the former guy had something to do with are either laughing at him or scolding his lawyers, or I mean, this is just some amazing stuff going on with that. No, that they will not tell the judge that certain documents are classified, or why they were classified, or what was unclassified. They won't tell them that. So the judge does, what's the right thing? Okay, if it's marked classified, it's fair game. I think that was a great move.
Yes, it was. I mean, Trump will say things on Hannity or on his Truth Social platform that his lawyers won't dare say in court.
Well, and now though it looks like the judges are addressing things that the former guy says in court, regardless of what his lawyers say.
That's right.
Wow.
They're saying back it up.
I love that.
That wacky rule of law thing, huh?
Yeah. Well, and then of course there's the New York lawsuit, which I find to be just
sorry, don't buy it.
Doesn't matter.
Real
Doesn't
estate
matter.
chicanery. I can't believe it.
It doesn't even matter. None of it matters. What matters is all of these things actually seem to be having some impact in the voter world, at least from what I'm reading. That the shift that Michael you've been talking about for weeks, and Dennis you've been talking about, it's seeming to get big enough that a lot more people are talking about it.
So Dennis, that's your cue.
Well, I'd go even further. I would say that this was the week that everything started to go right. If you look at Trump and all of Trump's troubles, also look at Vladimir Putin. Putin and Trump seem to be linked at the hip and going down in a death spiral. And then I was just watching a report from Iran. Women are up in arms, and so is the society in general, rebelling against their government. It's a bad time to be an authoritarian.
But as far as Iran is concerned, my guess is that this will be seen as the biggest outpouring of emotion, and in fact, it will not end up doing anything. Maybe not this time, but they will get their black shirted group of moral police out there. They'll shut down the internet, which I believe they've done today already, because we have a relative in Tehran and she called us and said, I'm calling you just to say if you can't get a hold of me, it's because they've shut down the internet. They shut down the internet. There's still ways to get stuff out. We all know that.
Yeah,
but,
the protests seems to be routing around the internet. So
yeah. But the regular people who aren't involved in the protests are not, that to them it matters that the internet is down more than it does to the protesters who are doing it a different way. I just think that that this is going to end up in a and it's going to be a bloody mess. There's already been 25 or 26 people that have been killed since that one young girl who sort of sparked the whole thing died. It's a sad story, and quite honestly, it really is time to unload these mullahs. They are just like, they're all like Donald Trump. They're just grabbing cash as much as they can. They're selling off the best parts of Iran and the Caspian Sea and pocketing the money. And their people can't get food, and their people can't get around, and their streets are crowded. And finally, they've just said enough.
But the point that Dennis made about it's not a good time to be an authoritarian. Dennis, it's kind of interesting because I read the Barry Weiss thing about Sweden. I don't know if any of you read that.
Oh yeah.
But if you look at what's going on in Italy, in Sweden, in Hungary, authoritarianism seems to be on the march. It's basically in Sweden a backlash against multiculturalism, in quotes, the bad version of multiculturalism, where there isn't true immigrant integration, and therefore you get pockets of immigrants living in parts of town that they dominate, and then gangs form. And apparently 500 bombings in Sweden which who knew? There's been
Yeah.
500 bombings. And
Well,
then
Keith-
Italy's about to go very right wing. And I think the Trump phenomenon isn't about Trump. It's about these things, much bigger societal things.
Could be about power and how power is, shared or not shared. And I think in line with that, it's probably the result of an accumulation of small slights over the last 40 years. It started with the financialization of the global economy. I also think that there's a danger that Italy and Sweden, places like that, could be whipsawed. They could be late to the authoritarian party. I don't mean political party, I just mean party. And as a consequence, their hold on power could be short-lived.
It's a weird way to look at it.
Well, you start looking at protests emerging in Russia, for example, even with draconian police force. You look at some of the other things that I've mentioned, and it appears that I don't know what you'd call it. The left side of the political spectrum is asserting itself. It's basically saying we've had too much or we've had enough. And it's not going to be neat and tidy. It's not going to happen inside of 6 days. But it really feels like the ground is shifting.
I thought that Christiane Amanpour's moment with the president of Iran at the United Nations was a harbinger of something like what you're talking about, Dennis. It was just a beautiful moment. She basically told him where to go. Blew off a giant interview with a world leader and with his country in the middle of all that strife. And he tried to make her wear a headscarf during the interview, at which point, not only did she say, I'm in solidarity with the women in Iran, she is an Iranian, but also we're in New York. We're not in Iran, and I'm not going to wear the headscarf. And there was no interview, which I thought was just pretty fabulous.
Yeah, little acts of defiance.
Yeah. It's the same it's sort of the opposite of what you were saying, is little acts of these little problems that niggled up to the big issue. Now, little acts of defiance could niggle up to where this immovable force meets that immovable object.
True. Yeah, there was also a story, and I don't remember how it goes, but maybe you guys do. There was a story about Viktor Orban this week in one of the papers that talked about how he was going to have to change course in some way, like he'd overstepped, which says a lot for his brand of authoritarianism. Also, if you look domestically, I think Ron DeSantis's stunt of sending 2 plane loads of migrants to legal migrants, by the way, to Martha's Vineyard blew up in his face. Greg Abbott's not having a great time either. We got the elections coming up.
And Biden's approval rating is at its highest. A new poll came out this morning. He's up to 45, and Trump's is at its lowest.
Yeah. So stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it all means, if it's a harbinger or not, but I think we can look back at this middle week of September 2022 and say, oh, a lot of stuff happened there.
And King Charles is going to take credit for it all.
We can get a pen that works.
But if you contextualize it, this is mainly Michael and Dennis. If you contextualize it, the good news, which is real, it's a little bit like when California is on fire in the hills, but you live in a beach town where there's no fire, and you say everything's wonderful, the sun's shining, the sea is warm, but there's fires all around. it feels to me as if the world is not a stable place right now, and progressive ideas are not on the rise. In fact, the opposite is true.
You
I
mean
don't-
progressive ideas societally?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like the right, nationalism, anti-immigrant sentiment, the desire for, the old good times dominates.
The 50s?
Well, it's hard to know because there are so many swirls and eddies as things move. The trend towards nationalism and authoritarianism has been going on for at least half a decade, probably a decade, and it's still strong. Whether it's peaked and whether the counterforces are now strong enough to push back against it is always impossible to say when you're in the middle of it. You only will know that afterwards. It's like looking at a stock market chart. Things go up and things go down. If you back away, you can see trend lines. But on the day, if it goes up or goes down, you don't see a trend line. You just see today's report. So we won't know for a while. But I'm hopeful that Dennis is right, and that the forces of authoritarianism and hypernationalism are peaked. But it's impossible to say right now.
What you really need is a positive narrative for globalism, and I don't think there is one right now. I think globalism is thought of as a bad thing.
Well, don't you think that there's a more positive narrative towards globalism than towards nationalism?
I actually don't think so anymore. I used to think I have one, but I don't recognize it as being the dominant meme. If you look at the UN meeting this week, this was fierce rivals, jousting. This was not a collaborative globe seeking common outcome.
Yeah,
It
but
did feel like the
that's what the UN is for, is jousting.
Felt like the 60s.
Well, ignore my comments about the UN because you're right. But where is who thinks it's good that China is becoming economically strong? That should be a good thing, right, for the world. But we don't. Why? Because it's China. And so economic progress, global economic progress is not embraced as a good thing.
Well, to just dig into that a little farther, it's not good because it's China, because people fear that China will dominate the global economy. It's not as though, we have these two things going on simultaneously. There's a lot of integration and there's a lot of disintegration, and they're all happening at the same time. So China's economy is very well integrated with the Western economy. At the same time, there's some concern that that integration will wind up with Chinese dominance, and I think that's why people are having mixed feelings about China.
Well,
the problem
it will, but that's economics. Economics is a bit like, it's like King Canute trying to stop the tide. You can't stop economics.
The same thing is true if you just look into the tech world. In the tech world.
Let Dennis get a word in.
By the same token, the world and world government is not economics. I think what we're witnessing is the over-reliance on economics as the solution to everything. I just wrote something about this, about how we've gone through a long 50 or 60 year period where we've all saluted Milton Friedman and the idea of shareholder supremacy, whereas the Keynesians, and this is starting to reemerge from groups like the Business Roundtable, are now acknowledging that in addition to shareholders, there are 4 other stakeholders that businesses need to accommodate, and they include the local polity, their partners, employees, and what we're positioning that against is that the world and China, if you want to talk about China, are focused on just having a purely mercantilist economy and using their great power to suppress the other four stakeholders in so much of the world. What we're afraid of is that the Chinese model becomes dominant. What needs to happen is countries like China and all over the world need to acknowledge there are other stakeholders, and those stakeholders get addressed and supported through democracy. China hasn't democratized at the same rate it's capitalized.
That seems so startling, and we've been living with that for about 10 years now.
Yeah, many of those companies, by the way, aren't in existence anymore. As I was watching it the other night, and I saw the Atari sign go by on the side of a giant building, I reminisced about having my Atari sitting next to my Commodore.
Well, it reminds me of 2001, which had Pan Am, Howard Johnson's.
Yeah.
Hojo's.
Okay, once we're on the table, anybody got something else?
Russia announces exemptions to military draft after widespread complaints. Men with certain white-collar jobs in banking, IT, and telecommunications will not be called up to join the war effort.
So do we think that this sort of conscription thing is going to backfire? Don't we think
Like
that?
it already has.
It's in the process. It's in the process of backfiring.
There's an element of this that we don't pay a lot of attention to. Russia is a huge land. It covers 11 time zones. And a lot of the conscription is happening in the eastern part, which is ethnically different and economically different from the Moscow area.
And
so
poor.
They're poor, they're Asian, and they're not well integrated into the western parts of Russia. So
the draft is also in the Caucasus as well, which has some of the same problems. Certainly, poverty and an Asian population. I think 12% are Tartars.
Okay, Keith, you have to drop in 2 minutes, right?
I do.
Okay. And anybody else have to go in 2 minutes? All right, so we'll continue. So Keith, you have the floor for 1:30.
I just want to thank you all for allowing me to pontificate on my economic social history and my view of capitalism.
Well, I tried hard not to have that happen, but
I thought it was brilliant, Keith. Brilliant.
Oh, brilliant for sure.
That said,
it is brilliant, and it provides a perfect stepping stone for Dennis to set us right.
Keith,
now I am. Thank you for that, Michael.
It is everything that the Gillmor gang could be and more.
Yeah.
Someone has to be the guy that's always wrong so that other people can be right. I'm happy to.
I know that's your.
There you go.
That's your pitch, and you're.
right? Keith, the thing that I found brilliant about you this week was the pictures that Tina showed me at dinner the other
Like this.
I had to do. I did a double and triple take on that one. I was like, wait a minute, is that Keith? You look like a rock star. You could have been like the fifth Beatle.
Were you? Let me ask you this: were you a mod or a rocker?
I was a hippie.
No, that's an evasion.
I was neither. I hated the greasers and I hated the mods. The mods were too middle class and violent. The greasers liked motorbikes and I hated them. So I was, if my list of things were Jimi Hendrix, Wishbone Ash, Bad Company, long hair, acid, Marxism.
Oh, hail Marx
A real
Lenin.
balanced diet.
There you go, Frank. It was.
I've got to go.
Just barely got it in there. All
I
right.
know. I tried.
Everybody else stick around for a second.
I actually should go also, guys.
I know,
I have family.
but everybody else stick around for a second.
Okay.
We're going to talk about you, Frank.
All right. So I gave you the out 10 minutes ago to avoid you saying that you had to go. So that didn't work. So
No.
Did you already know that you would have to leave at 10?
No. my wife just decided about 3 o'clock to invite these relatives over
Okay.
whom I haven't seen in like 10 years.
Okay. So
And,
last thought.
Well, last thought. I think that the story of, and I mentioned it earlier, that advertiser-supported streaming is absolutely the direction this is headed in. I've been saying that for years, and I think it's coming to fruition. What say you, Michael?
Well,
He
thank
wasn't
you.
listening.
No, he wasn't listening. No,
I was listening. I was listening.
I think that that we're going to start seeing more streamers with ads. I think that's just what's going to happen.
Wherever the eyeballs are, the ads will follow.
You know, fish where the fish is. That's what I.
You know, it's an economic balance. People will make a choice. They will, if they can, buy ad-free streaming. If they can't, they'll accept ads and watch streaming.
It's all about the bundles.
Well, honestly, it's all about the ability for these companies to create content that's interesting enough for people to want to watch it, instead of just creating content that throws against the wall and sees if it sticks. That's what bothers me.
I don't mind that.
Well, I mean,
it's expensive, but I like the endless supply of mediocre.
You do, really?
It's better than
I honestly hate
running
it.
out is worse than not having it. What was the thing that we watched that was funny? Reboot.
Oh,
There's a show called Reboot. Check it out.
Yeah, I've seen it. There was an old cartoon called Reboot, one of the first CG cartoons.
Is that the one where the guy dies and they bring him back to life on this place where everybody's dead, and they reboot his system? That's I don't remember the name of. That's a very complicated show. I've seen it.
Not that. This is about they reboot
an old sitcom,
an 80s sitcom.
Oh, well, certainly not the same show. Anyway, because mine has a scintilla of science fiction in it.
All right. So, Frank, when is this MCU thing that you're doing?
It's on the
Rubber
28th of October, and I hope to stream it. It's at the Savannah Film Festival. Although I just signed a document that said that I wouldn't stream it, I've streamed it every year when I've been there. So
don't worry about that document.
Yeah, forget about it. I'll stream it again.
As Brent said in his most recent interview. Oh no, just between us. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say
Nobody's
that.
watching.
I'm going to say, don't watch this, people.
I was wrong. Steve was watching apparently.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it. I got nothing else.
Okay. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you again.
I appreciate it. See you next week.
Good to see you back, Frank.
Have a good week.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Okay. Anything else from any of you guys?
I want a Three Stooges universe. Make it happen.
Dennis?
Whoop, 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 whoop. Hey, Mo. I don't know. I think I said everything I needed to say.
Good.
I'm good.
Tina?
Huh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do Frank. I got nothing.
Well, at least you didn't do at the end of the day.
Ooh, isn't that copyright?
It should be at this point.
It better be. Michael Markman, last thought.
I've disclosed my last thought. I need to recharge.
Okay. I want to thank our producer and director, Tina Chase Gillmor.
All right. Thank you, and you for being here.
I want to thank Brent for a lovely Mel's interlude with your.
I should thank you guys. It was on you. That soup was great, by the way.
Yeah, I like the one I got too.
Yeah.
And it's 2 days later, and I'm still not coughing, so that's good.
Hey.
And I did finish my salad the next day, Brent.
Oh, good.
Mhm.
Good.
And Dennis Pombrown, thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me. Good conversation.
Okay, I think we've done it. Thanks to everybody who showed up, and especially those who didn't. What? What?
I was just gesturing, and those who didn't with my
Oh.
hand.
Oh,
Because
She just,
I
stomping on my end punchline.
Yeah.
Thanks to everybody who showed up, and especially those who didn't. We'll see
And
you.
those who left early.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
And I will